Hey everyone, welcome to my Ubisoft Next 2022 programming showcase. This year we were tasked with creating Gravatar, so I'm just here to showcase my own submission. So right now I'm currently in the main menu. You see there's three options. First obviously being to play the game, second being the controls, and third being to exit the game, which is close to the application. Let me go into controls real quick to show you all the controls. As you can see there's not many controls. First being backspace to go back to the main menu. Control the shield, which blocks incoming projectiles from enemies and also used to pick up battery packs for fuel. Spacebar to shoot your own projectiles, and then WAC to move. So if I go back and actually hit play, you can see I'm in the starting area here, and I implemented two levels, top left being your more standard levels, where you just eliminate enemies, and then the second being a time trial where you have to avoid obstacles before the timer runs out and get to the end. So if I go to the top left here, you can see I'm already getting chased by the first kind of enemies, which are the seeking enemies. Their projectiles also seek, so they're the hardest enemies to avoid. So the second type of enemies are the shotgun spread enemies, which just shoot a bunch of projectiles in a shotgun spread going upwards. These are pretty easy to avoid, so let me just eliminate them real quick. And as you can see, every time I move, I'm also losing a bit of fuel each time. So don't be afraid to pick up some battery packs if you need them. Where you see these little blue things. Okay, and then the last type of enemies are zigzag enemies. So if I eliminate them real quick. So once you defeat all the enemies, if you go back to the spawn point, you can see there's a pink portal here, and that'll take you to the winning scene. Also, one thing to note, if you get hit, you only have one chance, or if you get hit, you basically lose, essentially. So if I go back here and show you the time trial real quick as well. So you basically have to get to the end pretty fast before the time runs out on the top. And yeah, pretty basic. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is gameplay wise. So some technical things I'd like to showcase are my scene manager, which allows me to transition from scene to scene more effectively rather than just staying or rather than having everything in one scene. So for example, the menu scene, world scene, or levels, level 1, level 2, yeah, etc. The second thing I'd like to talk about is my game object class, which allows me to translate, rotate, and scale each object, and even add components using Viridic templates. So I could add, get, and remove components of this type component class. So using this base class, I could create subcomponents. As you can see here on the right, I have a bunch of them. I didn't really get to use some of them, but it's all right. And each component consists of a parent object. So you have reference to that parent object, similar to Unity, like when you add, for example, audio source, you can get a reference to the parent object as well. Scene graph, which instead of calling my game objects render, update, or even draw method for, because I also have GUI objects for GUI specific things like, so instead of calling update render on each one of those or draw, I add all of them to the scene graph, and the scene graph calls their respective update, render, draw methods, and also deletes them accordingly. And lastly, for collision, I use axis aligned bounding box collision, uh, where I use a bounding box and with a mixture of distance checking as well. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything. Thank you for watching.